The Galactic Council had spent 3 standard cycles debating what to do about Sector 7 Alpha. The region of space, roughly 12 parsecs across, had become a death trap that claimed every ship foolish enough to enter its boundaries. Gravitational anomalies twisted reality itself, creating pockets where time moved backward, forward, or not at all. Energy weapons failed, shields collapsed, and even the most advanced AI systems went insane trying to calculate navigation through the chaos. "It is settled then," declared High Admiral Zefkar, his forearm spread wide in the traditional Veltari gesture of finality. "Sector 7 Alpha is hereby designated as an exclusion zone. No vessel shall enter, no exploration shall be attempted, and no salvage operations are permitted." The assembled delegates from 47 species nodded their various heads, tentacles, and sensory organs in agreement. It was the sensible decision, the logical decision, the safe decision. Captain Sarah Chen watched the proceedings from the human delegation's corner, her lips curving into a smile that would have been familiar to any Terran, equal parts amusement and determination. She'd been studying the data on Sector 7 Alpha for weeks, and where others saw chaos, she saw patterns. Where others saw death, she saw opportunity. "Representative Chen," Admiral Zefkar's voice boomed across the chamber. "Does Terra concur with this designation?" Sarah stood, her movements fluid in the low gravity of the Council station. "Terra acknowledges the Council's decision," she said diplomatically. "However, we reserve the right to observe the situation independently." A ripple of concerned chittering passed through the assembly. The Tokhari delegate's translator crackled. "Surely the humans do not intend to violate the exclusion zone." "Violate is such a harsh word," Sarah replied, her smile widening. "We prefer creative interpretation." 3 days later, Sarah sat in the pilot's chair of the Prometheus, a modified exploration vessel that looked like it had been assembled by committee, which, in a way, it had. Human engineering was notorious throughout the galaxy for its seeming randomness. Duct tape holding critical systems together, jury-rigged solutions that somehow worked better than their designed counterparts, and an almost religious devotion to the phrase, "If it's stupid, but it works, it's not stupid." "Sarah, the gravitational readings are off the charts," reported Dr. Marcus Webb from the science station. "The computer can't even plot a coherent course through that mess." "Good thing we're not relying on the computer," Sarah said, disengaging. "The autopilot." Around her, the bridge crew, all human, was making final preparations with the kind of casual confidence that had made their species legendary across the galaxy. "Manual navigation through that maze is suicide," protested Commander Lisa Park from the tactical station. "Only if you think like a computer," Sarah replied, her hands dancing over the controls. "But humans don't think like computers. We think like, well, like humans." The Prometheus approached the edge of Sector 7 Alpha, and immediately every sensor on the ship began screaming warnings. Space itself seemed to writhe and twist, gravity wells appearing and disappearing in patterns that defied physics. In the distance, the twisted wreckage of a dozen alien vessels served as monuments to logical thinking. Entering the zone in 3, 2, 1. What happened next would be debated in xenopsychology classes for generations. Where alien minds saw chaos, the human crew saw rhythm. Where sophisticated AI found random destruction, Sarah's intuition found a dance. She flew the ship not by plotting courses but by feeling them, making split-second decisions that seemed to violate causality itself. The ship rolled through a temporal distortion that aged its port side by 30 seconds, then dove under a gravity wave that should have crushed them into neutronium. Sarah laughed, as she threaded the needle between 2 black holes that were locked in some impossible orbital dance. "How are you doing this?" Dr. Webb asked, his voice tight with a mixture of terror and fascination. "Pattern recognition," Sarah said, banking hard to avoid a space-time fold that looked like origami made from reality. "Humans evolved to see patterns in chaos. It's how we survived when everything on Earth was trying to eat us." The Prometheus spiraled deeper into the zone, past the point where alien logic said survival was impossible. The crew worked with the kind of seamless coordination that came from a species that had learned to hunt in packs and build cities in defiance of natural disasters. And then, impossibly, they reached the center. "Well," Sarah said, looking at the massive alien artifact floating in the eye of the gravitational storm, "that explains a few things." The structure was clearly artificial, all flowing curves and impossible angles that hurt to look at directly. It pulsed with energy that seemed to exist in 17 dimensions at once, and Sarah could feel it, probing their ship with senses that had no name in any language. "It's some kind of test?" Dr. Webb suggested, staring at his readings in disbelief. "A puzzle left by a precursor species?" "More than that," Sarah said, her smile becoming genuinely warm. "It's a filter, designed to keep out anyone who thinks in straight lines." The artifact responded to her presence, its chaotic energy patterns suddenly resolving into something resembling communication. Data flooded their systems, star charts to galaxies beyond the rim, technologies that made faster-than-light travel, look like banging rocks together, and knowledge that would advance galactic civilization by millennia. "It was waiting," Commander Park whispered, "waiting for someone crazy enough to walk into the impossible and smile about it." "Not crazy," Sarah corrected, beginning the delicate process of downloading the alien knowledge. "Just human." When the Prometheus emerged from Sector 7 Alpha 3 days later, the Galactic Council was waiting with a fleet of ships, expecting to find wreckage. Instead, they found Sarah broadcasting on all frequencies, her voice carrying that same amused confidence that had become humanity's signature across the stars. "This is Captain Chen to all ships," she said. "The exclusion zone is now open for business. Just maybe don't think too hard about the physics. Trust us on this one." The gathered alien fleets watched in bewilderment as more human ships began arriving, their crews chattering excitedly about the impossible navigation patterns they'd need to learn. Within hours, they were running training exercises, treating the deadliest region of space like a new extreme sport. High Admiral Zefkar could only shake his head in defeat. "Humans," he muttered in 3 languages simultaneously. Of course it was humans. Behind him, his aide whispered, "Sir, should we update the exclusion zone designation?" Zefkar watched another human vessel dive into the gravitational maelstrom, its crew audibly whooping with joy over the comm channels. "Update it to read, humans only. Everyone else has more sense." In the depths of Sector 7 Alpha, the ancient artifact pulsed with something that might have been contentment. After eons of waiting, it had finally found the one species in the galaxy crazy enough to dance with chaos and call it fun. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor after all.